What is going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down Intermission. I don't know what number, but we're doing a show. This is technically the last show of 2020.
The show will not air until 2021.
This is true, but it was recorded on the 30th. So, but I have Ken McCowan with me.
Hi!
And this intermission is all about, we had mentioned it on N4G, that we wanted to do a supernatural show, since the show, which lasted for 15 years, finally ended about a month ago? It's been about a month now?
Yeah, I think we're right at about a month.
Yeah.
This is 36, by the way.
Intermission 36. There you go.
96.
So, yeah, Supernatural, man. A show that was near and dear to my heart.
But I did not even start watching until season 7 or 8.
I think it was 8.
Yeah, because I remember I used to watch Smallville, and I would always see the commercial during the credits of Smallville. It's like, hey, this is Jen Snacks. Check out Supernatural. I was like, I ain't watching that crap.
So why did you say you weren't going to watch that crap?
Because I thought it was exactly what it was aimed at, which was another
girls.
one of those CW shows, you know, with the love interests and the romanticness.
Right. So
not my jam.
That's exactly what happened with me. So I didn't watch Supernatural from the beginning. Matt actually turned me on to Supernatural. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was a Phoenix Down intermission that we were talking about it, and he brought up. He's like, "Hey, you know what's a good show? It's Supernatural." I was like, "Isn't that show with the two pretty boys?" And he's like, "Yeah." He said, "But no, it's legit good." I was like, "If you say so." He's like, "I'm serious."
See, for me, it was the show with the guy from one season of Supernatural and the other guy from Gilmore Girls.
Okay, the guy you said Supernatural, you meant Smallville.
Sorry, Smallville. Smallville. Yeah, the guy that literally he was he had like a title card and everything in one season of Smallville.
Yep, that's right. To be honest with you, I had never seen or heard of any of these people. I had never heard of Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki before.
No, the two weirdest names in the business.
But for some reason, it was on Netflix. It's always been on Netflix. Supernatural has. And I sat down and watched the first season. And I didn't think the first season was particularly good.
It was identical to the first season of Smallville, which was literally a Monster of the Week
Monster of the Week every single episode.
Yep, that was Smallville for the first 2 seasons.
The only thing that kept me going, and Matt was a big reason why I kept going, was because the thing that he always told me was that Supernatural's continuity is just so tight. He's like, I've never seen a show that had such a tight continuity in my life. And I was like, okay, well, I can appreciate that. I like a good show that sticks to its guns, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So and one of the other things I really liked was the lore, because I'm the kind of guy who will sit there and watch a show and still be paying attention to the show, but looking shit up on Netflix or not on my phone and stuff like that. And they were, first season was all about just Monster of the Week. We're hunting Wendigos. We're hunting ghosts. We're hunting this. We're hunting that. And I would look up the lore on these things, and they used real lore.
Yeah. So the way it worked was they would have a team that would research, the what do you call them, urban legends and things, and then they would, piece them all together, and then they would kind of whiteboard them into the episode and how it fit. They did their homework. I'll give them that.
Because I had never heard of ghosts don't like iron.
Yeah.
But apparently that's lore. In fact, the whole reason, quote unquote, the reason why cemeteries are surrounded by iron bars is to keep the spirits in. I never realized that, and I was like, holy shit, that makes sense. It was because ghosts are afraid of iron, or it keeps ghosts at bay.
I've watched the show so many times that everything that they say in the show, I believe in real life. Like, if I found a ghost or a vampire, I'd have to cut its head off or hit it with an iron bar.
Yep. Throw salt at it. Salt is like the cure-all. It's
purified.
And that comes from the Bible, the salt of the earth.
Yep.
So, yeah. And that was the thing that really hooked me, was like, okay, it seems like they're getting their lore correct. And I was like, yeah, I to be honest with you, I didn't like either character at the beginning. So, gosh, I'm trying to think. The first few episodes, I was like, I don't like these characters.
They were very much young and appealed in a certain way. And even when you go back and watch it now, like, their acting chops they had not established those characters yet.
No, they were running on their looks, if we're being honest.
Oh yeah, that's the whole reason they were hired.
But the episode that turned me around, the episode that made me say, okay, there's something to this, was the first episode where they introduced demons. It was the one where they were on the plane.
Yes, the really bad eye effect in the very first one.
But that episode turned me around because it gave Dean Winchester personality. Because for the longest time, Dean Winchester was just this, gruff, I'm a pretty boy, but I'm also a badass, and I know it kind of thing. But that episode, he hates flying, and he played it off perfectly because it came off comical. And that's when the show started to shine, and they realized that and leaned to it deeply. Is that while Supernatural can be a very serious show, it's also a comedy.
Oh yeah.
And holy crap, when they lean into the comedy, that's the best bits of Supernatural. But yeah, I turned you on to Supernatural. I'm sure you were laughing at me thinking I like the show.
Oh, absolutely. Anybody who ever told me to watch that show, I was like, can't get the fuck out of here.
Did anybody else ever tell you to watch the show?
Not hardcore. People had mentioned it in passing, and even now, as obsessed as I am with the show, I still don't. It's not like it's ever in like the cultural conversation.
I have and you brought it up a few months back or something like that, but I've never seen anybody talk about this show.
No, but it's huge.
It's huge. That's why
no show goes 15 years.
Exactly. That's why it's been on for 15 years. But I never saw anybody online talk about the show.
No, I didn't. Game of Thrones was spoiled 2 hours after it happens.
Right.
The Mandalorian now is spoiled Friday morning.
The day, yeah.
So, to go as long as I did without seeing, my wife used to tease me because she would read news reports when I was watching it, season 10, 11. She's like, do you know what happened? I was like, no. She's like, I do. I was like, I don't see this stuff.
So does she care about Supernatural at all?
No. I've told her she should watch it, but she's also adverse to demons, so not really going to be a show for her.
Yeah. So, man, I just, I don't know what gripped me so much. Season 1 obviously was kind of rough, even just production value wise. It was kind of lame. Season 2, basically the last couple of episodes of season 1 going into season 2 started to actually push a narrative that was combined together. Now, there's some big things that obviously happened in the first episode of the show that come to fruition well into season 5 and later. But I don't want to tiptoe around this because I know some people who are watching or listening to this. I just want to go ahead and give you a warning. We're going to spoil the ending to Supernatural here.
Yeah, and everything in between.
Because
there's a lot.
And I don't want to ruin it if somebody is actually watching the show currently and not finished it. Also, if we convince you to watch it, I don't want to spoil this. So,
there's no way to do that other than to say if you're going to watch it, go watch it. If you are watching it, we can kind of go in order and not hit the big boy until the end. But,
yeah.
But there's a lot of big boys, though.
There's a ton of them. Yeah, that's the thing is every season ends with, what's going to happen next.
I mean, as much as I've watched it, and I usually rewatch it annually. I look at it in parts. I look at seasons 1 through 5. That's the main arc.
Yeah.
Like, that is the story they were trying to tell. Season 6 kind of stumbles a little bit here and there. Season 7 is not good, but there is a very important episode in Season 7.
There is 2 episodes that you have to watch in Season 7.
Yeah, and they will reference Season 7 later, so, I mean, there's stuff in there, but it's the hardest season to watch. And then 9 is kind of stands on its own. Then 10 is when it starts to get into more of the big man.
Yeah.
And then from there on out, the last 5 seasons are about that arc.
Yeah. So there's basically two main villains of this show. And I'm going to go ahead and just stop everybody right here. If you don't want Supernatural spoiled and you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, stop listening now.
I'm interested that you said 2 because I would consider 3. But 1 kind of becomes an anti-villain towards the end.
Yeah. The first arc villain is Lucifer. Satan.
Yeah, you think it's Yellow Eyes, but it ends up
not.
being Lucifer.
Yeah. So Satan is the big bad guy of the first 5 seasons. There's an in-between there. And then the reverse. God is the villain of the last few seasons.
Which is weird.
It is very weird. And I have a beef with that, if we're being honest. I don't like how that ending happened.
It felt like it just came to a close.
It did kind of feel rushed. I was like, really? You're going to have Chuck Knight still be the bad guy at the end and just lose everything?
Yeah, on a beach.
Yeah.
Where he got tricked.
Yeah.
Quote unquote tricked.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I was hoping, what I was hoping for was getting the nice happy ending, which is God realizes the error of his ways and says, you know what? I'm being an asshole. You guys, you guys are resilient. I'm going to leave you guys alone and just kind of reverse everything. Because he has
snap his fingers and put everything back to the way it was.
Exactly. And he said, oh, by the way, there's no more monsters in the world. They're all gone.
But then that doesn't leave it open for them to come back.
They don't need to come back. That's the ending.
Yeah, but they've talked about it. Like, oh, maybe we'll come back for a movie or something. I don't know.
They've already planned 2 different spin-offs for this show that both failed before they started.
Yeah, the Ghostfacers was only web only, though.
Excuse me, 3 then, because I wasn't referring to Ghostfacers.
Oh, yeah, Ghostfacers got its own web series.
That's true. Which, I'm totally fine with those guys. Those guys were funny.
Those guys were funny.
Those guys were hilarious.
I literally just, last night and today, because I'm rewatching it right now, I just watched the episode where they made up the Thin Man.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's where they kind of fall apart.
Yeah. Man. Gosh. That's the thing is, like, I feel like we just want to hit the greatest hits because, like, all right, so I have to ask you, what's your favorite episode of Supernatural?
Oh, you can't even ask that. There's 327 of them.
That's true.
I mean, I don't even know that I could pick one right now. I mean, there's a lot that I love to watch.
Yeah.
But then there are some that just stick. I love the musical episode.
The musical's good.
Yeah, the High School Musical one. I don't like the episode, but I love the fact that they shot one entirely from the viewpoint of the Impala.
Oh, Baby is awesome. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Like, the story in that episode is not all that interesting to me, but the fact that every single camera shot takes place inside the Impala is great. I love the black and white episode with the movie monsters.
The movie monsters is really good, too.
I mean, there's too many. That's the problem.
The episode where they go to the real world, and they are the actors Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles.
I mean, it's not my favorite episode, but the scene with Death in the Chicago pizzeria.
Yeah, that's
one of my favorite scenes.
I believe that is that's
the end.
That's the final season that's the final episode of season 5.
Yeah, it's the last episode of the arc where he has to get the ring. Which is crazy because when I rewatch it every time, I'm like, God, they do a lot in this last episode. They get the last ring. They meet, they find Lucifer, Michael gets to possess their brother. It's like, good Lord, there's a lot going on this episode.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, God, there's so many things connecting this. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Like,
and every little fable that you could ever think of is in there.
Yes. The way they connect their lore, which may not even be true because we don't even know. They may have made this up. I'm sure they did. But the fact that, demons exist in this world, they can possess people just instantly. They can jump into your body and take over you.
Yep. They don't have to ask permission.
Angels have to ask for permission from the person they're going to possess.
Which makes sense.
But that's the twist. The twist for like seasons 3, 4, and 5 is Lucifer isn't a demon. He's an angel. Always has been.
But he had to ask.
But he has to ask somebody for permission to take over the body. And of course, one of the great things, who's the perfect vessel? Well, Sam Winchester. Why would Sam Winchester?
Brother.
Yeah. Why would Sam Winchester ever say yes to Satan? Do they ever refer to him as Satan? I don't think they do. They always call him Lucifer.
There's a scene, and I don't remember the names that they use, but where the first time he talks to Nick, he says, that's the name they gave me, but I think it was Devil, is what he said. He didn't actually say Satan.
Satan.
Yeah, I don't know if that word's ever uttered. It may be.
It's been a long time since I've watched that.
Well, I certainly can't remember every line of every episode, but
yeah.
But I do remember him saying, that's the name people gave to me. My real name is Lucifer, and I'm an angel.
Yeah. It's so good because, like, the guy that plays Nick, I don't even know what that guy's name is.
He's Jacob on Lost.
He's Jacob on Lost, yeah.
That's how I know some people. Like, he was that dude in the other show.
Also, the other guy that was the bad guy on Lost. Remember, Jacob turned out not to be the bad guy.
Well, the Man in Black was supposedly the bad guy.
You know who the Man in Black is, right?
Well, I've seen him in a million things.
He's War.
Yeah, that's right. The thing is, Supernatural was on so long. There's a couple things that always get to me when I rewatch it. So Benny is in season 1 or 2, but he's not Benny.
Really?
He is in the episode where, what's the dude's name that tries to kill Sam that gets turned into a vampire? What's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
The first episode with him.
Okay.
Where he's trying to kill the vampires, but Sam's like, no, let them go because they're good. Benny is one of her helpers.
Really?
But it's not Benny. He plays somebody else. And then another character that recurs that plays two different characters is there's the episode where they discover the Crossroads demons, and they go to the house of the architect, whose partner, the big guy. He's also the wrestler in, was it season 12, I think? So he plays two different roles in two different episodes.
Yeah, they've done that a couple of times, but the thing is like everybody is in this. Like I wouldn't go as far as to say B-level actor. There are a lot of B-level actors in this, but
I can't think of that guy's name. It's driving me crazy because I'm hearing people call him by his name, but I can't get it out of my head.
The wrestler guy?
No. The guy that they bump into with the vampire. The first episode I was talking about. It's turned into the vampire because, that was like his story arc was that's why he became a hunter. What is his name?
Isn't he the guy who played in The People vs. O.J. Simpson?
No, that's Cuba Gooding Jr.
No.
Played O.J.?
No, the one that played the prosecutor.
He might have been, but he's in This Is Us.
Yes.
He was also
That's
in...
him.
Oh, man. He's in something else that I saw. I've got to look this up now, so keep going. I'll look him up.
Okay.
Sterling K. Brown is his name.
He played Christopher Durden.
He was in Black Panther. Frozen 2. He was in The Predator. Where's Supernatural on this list? There's Gordon Walker. That was his name.
Gordon.
Yep. So the episode with Gordon, he's in, looks like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
God, it feels like he's in a lot more than 4.
It does. It does, doesn't it?
It does.
But, yeah, they have everybody in it. Parker Lewis is in the show.
He is, for quite a while, actually.
For quite a while. He's one of the cousins of the Winchesters.
Yeah. A lot of people in the show.
And, dude, the Skinner from X-Files is in it.
Yep. Felicia Day plays a big role.
Yep.
Mitch Pileggi plays the grandfather.
Yep.
I mean, Kurt Fuller's an angel.
This is true.
The girl from Walking Dead, what's her name?
Oh man,
Lauren
something. The one that played.
DJ, yeah, the one that plays the main
Maggie.
girl, Maggie.
Maggie.
DJ Qualls is in the show.
Yes, he is.
My wife saw him when I was watching it the other day. She's like, "That is a weird looking dude."
He is a strange looking dude.
Yes,
but he's a great character in that show.
You got Garth.
You got Garth, sucker. He's actually a good hunter. And he's also a werewolf now.
Yeah. That episode's actually in the season I'm watching right now, where they go to the house, the family of werewolves.
You know, the one thing that they didn't reference, and I wish they would have, was the mother and daughter that ran the bar.
Oh,
Joe.
They mentioned her in the last episode. Doesn't Bobby say that they're living somewhere? Like, didn't he ask about him?
I thought he asked about Rufus. Said Rufus lived next to him.
Because I know he asked about his parents.
Yeah. He said they lived a couple of miles down the road.
I swore they referenced her in the last season, but I don't. Because what's her mom's name? Her name's Jo, and then her mom...
I can't even tell you.
There's too many names in the show for me to remember all of them. What's also funny is that there's so many people in this show that both Jensen and Jared married people that were co-stars on the show.
Yes, you're correct.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious to me.
Jared married a demon, and Jared, married an angel. Jensen married an angel.
But I also think she played somebody else on the show too. I think that was another one of those double ups.
She did.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yep.
Which is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. But we're tap dancing around, I think.
Yeah.
The best character in this entire series, which is...
Well, of course we're tapped it, because there's a story behind that. When you mentioned that the other day, I had to go research it.
Right.
And I found out why he was not in the last season.
Okay. So Mark Shepard plays a demon named Crowley. And Crowley, who doesn't even show up in the show until like season 4.
Yeah, he's actually at season 5, because it's when he gives him the cult.
Right. But he is the best character in this entire show.
Yeah, he is.
And he starts off as a crossroads demon, which is a demon that does deals with people. You get whatever you want, but in so many amount of years, hell comes to collect. They drag your soul to hell via invisible dogs known as hellhounds.
Hellhounds that you can only see when you burn glasses.
Yep.
With holy oil.
With holy oil.
Why? That is just some stupid shit that I just did not need to know, but I know it too well.
I know so much. And you know the funny thing is, we didn't see hellhound. We never actually saw what a hellhound looked like until the last episode.
We saw one. You saw the invisible outline.
Yes.
In the oil episode.
Yes. But they actually show you one in the last episode or second last episode. I can't remember.
The last episode probably not, because the last episode is more like we're just gonna give you 45 minutes of,
wrap it up. Let's take it.
Dean and Sam living what they thought would be their normal life.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Mark Shepard. So tell me, why did not bring Crowley back for season 15?
So he was not happy with the way they started to turn his character. So he was saying that like in the last season that he was in, which I think he goes out in 11 or 12, he said that he did not like the way they were writing his character, and a lot of the stuff that he had put into the character they were cutting out of the show because they were clearly trying to write him out. So he had a falling out with the showrunner at the time, and basically he said, he's like, I will always love that character, but I will not come back and do it again. And like there's a big 20-minute video on YouTube of him explaining, like he was very unhappy with the way the last scene with him is because they cut lines out of it that he had put into it that he wanted to make kind of fit his character, and then the showrunners just didn't care because they were too focused on, the alternate world and the fact that Jack was born and all of that stuff.
If I'm being honest, I didn't like any of Jack.
No, I don't like Jack.
I never liked Jack much. I understand why he was there.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had to have something because, well, the Antichrist, they led up to the Antichrist for a whole season, so I just didn't like his character, I don't think. I just,
I didn't either, and I didn't like him when he got possessed.
No.
I didn't like that demon either.
Well, that lasted, 2 episodes?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay.
Well, the whole last season feels weird because there's not only that, but then there's also Rowena takes control of Hell, but we never really see that.
Yeah, it's one episode she takes control of Hell,
and it's mentioned like twice for the rest of the show, but we never actually see it. That was a weird thing, and I think it was just them. Like I told you when I started watching it, this feels like hey, we're just going to get a fucking 22 episodes of cameos.
No, yeah, and that's kind of what they did.
I mean, Ketch shows up in like the second episode.
I know. It's not even Ketch, it's his brother.
Yeah,
remember?
Ketch is dead.
Remember, Ketch is dead. This is his twin brother.
Which we thought was made up when they first introduced that. And it's like, no, that's not made up. That's real.
Yeah.
He has a twin brother who also does State Farm commercials, but whatever.
It still blows my mind that dude is... Every time I hear him, I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
No, because he doesn't have the accent.
He's actually Canadian.
What's funny about this is like I'm looking at the people who are in it, and he is up there with like the top 15 people. He did 19 episodes.
Ketch?
Yep. Which is more than Ruby. It's more than Billy. It's more than Metatron.
Really?
It's the same amount as Kevin Tran, the same amount as Jody Mills, and the same amount as Chuck Shirley.
Are you serious?
Yep. All those people did 19 episodes.
Holy crap.
Rowena had 33.
Jack
Jack
she was
had
okay.
39.
Jack had 39.
39 episodes Jack was in.
I mean, he was in like 2 full seasons.
Yeah, but you think back to it, like a lot of these characters that I'm mentioning, Kevin Tran, Metatron, all these characters showed up before and were showing up, well, not necessarily after Jack. Some of them did. But yeah, the top characters are obviously Jensen and Jared.
Yeah.
Misha's is less than half of the episodes that they're in. He's in 146.
He didn't show up till season 5.
And Crowley's after him. Crowley was only in 67 episodes.
Yeah.
And Bobby was in 68.
Those three are the best characters in this entire show.
Absolutely. Bobby Singer was supposed to be a spinoff, like a one-time character, and he was so popular that they made him a regular.
Exactly. And he's one of the best characters in that show. Bobby.
He's the reason you got to watch season 7.
Yeah. Bobby, Castiel, and Crowley are the best characters in that show, and they are all supporting characters.
Yep. What's funny, though, is the only season I don't like Castiel is the season that I absolutely hate.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's
the reason
guy.
it happens, and he like sucks it all in, and then he gets all mopey afterwards.
Yeah, the Leviathans is what we're talking about. The Leviathans is just the worst freaking season ever. It's dumb. It's just so dumb. Like the Leviathans look dumb. Their whole thing of like poisoning our food to make us cattle is dumb.
With Biggersons, the turducken sandwich.
Yeah, the turducken sandwich. and the main guy's name is Dick Roman. And everybody it's always just a bunch of dick. It's a reason that they can say dick a lot on CW.
Pretty much. Oh, there's a lot of dick jokes.
Man. Like season 6 had some great episodes, but you could tell they were like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, they introduced the alpha monsters.
Yeah.
They brought people back from the dead, which was that was like characters have been gone for a long time.
Yeah. We got some great episodes in there though.
Oh, absolutely. I think the reason I don't like season 6 is because I don't like Sam.
That's because he didn't have a soul.
Exactly, and he's a real just prick in that season.
Yeah. Because that's season 6. You get the fairies, which he thought was aliens.
Yeah, that episode's weird.
That episode's great though.
It is, but like the scene where Dean is chasing the little naked lady around the room and then traps her in the microwave is pretty funny.
It is pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny when he thought he got abducted by aliens.
He's yelling at the cornfield, "Close encounter, Sam! Close encounter!" Sam's like, "I don't give a shit. First kind, second kind. What kind, Dean?"
And then he has to walk like 5 miles back to the motel, and Sam's in there like screwing a woman, and he's like, "Where the hell have you been?"
He's like, "I looked for you, man, for like a half hour."
It's so good. And then there's another supporting character that is fantastic is yet another angel, which is Gabriel.
You know, I was just thinking about him. Like, his whole thing was great. The Monster Hotel, where all the gods met at the hotel. That's a great episode.
Yep. The changing channels.
Oh yeah, the Stay Tuned episode is what I like to call it.
Yeah, the Stay Tuned episode where they're stuck in the TV world and they have to act out TV tropes, including doing a commercial for a medication for genital herpes. It's so good. They even do like a Full House like intro.
Yeah.
That's like when they lean heavy into the This is when I realized this show is made for nerds.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, I get it now. This is a great show. But yeah, he originally everybody thinks he's the trickster, which they think is. So originally he's a monster known as a trickster who uses illusions.
Which was in season 1.
Was it season 1?
Yeah, I always am shocked when I go back and watch it. I'm like, wow, they introduced him super early.
Yeah. So he starts out as a monster called a trickster, which uses illusions to trick people. Then he comes to find out he actually admits, I'm actually not a trickster. I'm the ultimate trickster. I am the god Loki, which is just another trick. Come to find out, he's an archangel named Gabriel.
Which is Castiel's the one that points it out.
Yep. Castiel's like, no, that's my brother.
That's my brother.
And one of the best, I think I brought it up to you, one of the best things he ever did was Castiel summoned him, and he only had a limited amount of time to talk to him, and right before he left, he said, wait, tell me quickly, are you alive or dead? And he just kind of grins at him. I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's the best way for him to go out.
Oh, man. But the best acting, I have to bring this up because I bring it every time. I've rewatched this show 3 times. The best acting in that entire show came from Mark Sheppard.
Yeah, he absolutely kills it. Every time he's on the screen, he is the character that you are paying attention to.
Yes. But I'm specifically talking about, season 8, when they are trying to cure him of his demonism.
Yeah, that's the final episode of season 8.
Yeah. And he breaks down crying.
Yeah.
It's fucking good, dude. Like
I just want to be loved, Sam.
It's not even that. It was because he's a demon. He's been a demon for hundreds of years, and he starts to become human again. They're curing him of being a demon, and he starts crying, and he's like, I don't know where to begin to ask for forgiveness for all the things that I've done. and it's legit. And I was like, oh my God, this is some amazing acting. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like freaking, like, give that guy Academy Award in a Supernatural of all things.
Yeah, he should have got an Emmy for that.
It's so good. But
that show will never, I don't think it ever got any award.
No, I don't think it was even thought of. But it's crazy. Like, the only thing that I as far as the lore goes, and obviously they had to change it, but one of the things that I loved, our first actual glimpse of hell was when Dean got dragged to hell, and they show him all chained up.
Oh yeah, that's very generic, and then like you just get like a quick glimpse of it.
Yeah, but then later on in the seasons, it's like, oh, they're just in like a bunch of dungeon corridors, and I'm just like, I figured they would at least do something a little bit more interesting than that.
Yeah, they never really. I mean, most of the scenes that take place down there are always in that throne room.
Yeah,
and it's like, so hell is like a basement of an office building.
Yeah,
which kind of makes sense.
I like the gag where Crowley made it to where the majority of hell was just people waiting in line.
Yes, and he's like, what happens when they get to the end of the line? Well, they go back to the end of the line.
They go back to the end of the line. That's what they do. What do people hate more than anything? Waiting in line.
Waiting in line, yeah.
So hell is like waiting in line for a long time?
Yeah, it's weird because if you think about season 6 and 7, that was the whole spiel, was to get into purgatory to get more souls, because both places were a little short on souls.
So that's the biggest thing, and the thing that we haven't really talked about is God himself. So I loved Chuck as God up until season 15.
Yeah. I really liked him when what I don't understand is, like, and I think they kind of joked about this in one of the seasons, is like, was he God when he was prophet?
Yes.
Which is weird because Castiel didn't recognize him.
Because he's God. God can mask himself if he wants to.
Well, I can understand that, but like, why? I don't know. I mean, even Zachariah didn't know. Like, nobody knew.
No.
It was just a weird thing because it was almost like when you go back and watch it, you're looking for holes in it. Like, was he really, like, when they wrote him into the show, was he really supposed to be God?
I mean,
all the way back to when he's first introduced as the one who writes the steamy novels.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is like the end of season 5, that's when it's the big reveal. Because that was originally supposed to be the ending of the show.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that everybody who's not familiar with Supernatural should know, is that Supernatural was planned to end at season 5. Like, from the beginning, that's what they wanted to do. But the show was so popular that they continued on.
Do you think that if they had not got renewed, we'd have seen the scene with Sam standing under the light post at the end of season 5?
Yes.
Or was that added because they were getting a season 6?
I think they added that because we were getting a season 6.
Okay. Yeah, I do too, because I think if you don't, you just end it with Dean having dinner in the kitchen.
And that's you know what, they probably filmed that and said, well, if we get brought back for a 6th season, we'll leave that in, but if we don't, we'll just cut it before we see Sam.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And to be honest with you, I think it would have been a perfect show if they'd ended it like that.
Yeah, if you want to get the kind of abridged version of that show, you can literally watch seasons 1 through 5, and you'll get a good story.
Oh God, yeah.
And it doesn't need to go from there. You don't need anything else after that. But there, if you like it, there's 10 more seasons.
And there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Oh God, yeah. We've never even talked about the Mark of Cain storyline, the Men of Letters, the tablets.
God, there's so much to this story, dude.
Yeah.
There's so much. Metatron showing up, the fall of the angels. The fall of heaven.
Sam closing the gates of hell, which you talked about.
Yep.
Going through the trials.
Well,
we didn't even talk about Kevin, like, at all.
Nah, Kevin Tran, who is a pretty great character.
He is, but he is one of the inconsistencies that bug me. So he dies in season 9.
But he shows back up a million times.
With different haircuts.
Well, that's because he's off doing his own thing.
Ghosts can't cut their hair, Drew.
Well, I understand that, but what are you supposed to do?
Cut his hair to make it look like it wasn't season. People grow beards all the time.
That's that. Speaking of beards and speaking of hair, Kane. So, I never watched Psych, but I watched Supernatural, and my wife started watching Psych. She had seen it before, and she wanted me to rewatch it with her, so I watched a few episodes, and I was like, that head detective guy right there, he looks familiar to me. He's a very skinny, wiry-looking dude, and I looked him up, and I said, that's fucking Kane. Dude.
Yeah.
Look that guy up when he was on Psych. Look at him now. He has put on about 50 pounds of freaking muscle and grew a giant beard and long hair.
Yeah, that was... Well, he had short hair when they first met him.
Yes.
Because I just watched that episode a few days ago. And he's got the short hair, but he's still got the big beard. And then when Dean fights him a little bit later, he's definitely got the long flowing locks, man. He's going around murdering everybody. Yeah. That's his bloodline. Which is crazy to me. That graveyard that he has of everybody from his bloodline. I'm like, you realize that's like 50% of the world, right?
Yeah. You're Kane. Which if anybody who's listening doesn't understand that, Cain from Cain and Abel.
Yeah. My wife walked in when Dean got the mark. She's like, I know what that is. But that's how much they researched it. Like, that is the actual symbol.
That is the symbol?
Yeah, she was like, I know what that is. That's the mark of Cain. I was like, you don't watch the show. How did you know that? She's like, that's what the mark looks like. Which is also, the mark of Cain is also the lock that keeps in the darkness, which we never talked about.
We never talked about the darkness.
The darkness.
So in the beginning, there was the darkness.
The light and the dark.
Yep.
Because God has a sister. That one, okay. That one felt like a reach. I get how it works. That's a weird thing, right?
I mean, what are you supposed to do?
I know, but still. And she gets unlocked because Dean stabs Death with his own scythe.
Dean kills Death.
Yeah.
In the show.
Because of course he does.
And he doesn't come back.
No, the next Reaper, what is it? The Reaper who did the last reaping becomes the next
death.
But there's a third death by the end of the show.
And I like the line that Amara, which is the darkness. Dean, he asks her, he's like, "Are you Death?" She's like, "I don't know what this death thing is." Because she's older than Death.
Yeah, the joke was that Death and God didn't know who was older.
That's true.
They'd been around so long they didn't remember who was the oldest.
Yeah. The guy who played Death was great.
Oh, I love that guy. He's in another show I saw recently, and I was like, "Oh, it's Death."
Yep. And he was one of the Four Horsemen. And
yeah, which is another thing we didn't talk about.
We didn't talk about the Four Horsemen because the Four Horsemen are in this.
They're literally 4 episodes.
Yeah,
Death sticks around, but the other 3 never come back.
Well, the third Pestilence is in 2 episodes, right?
Well, he's in the end of 1 episode, and then he does an episode by himself.
Yes.
Because it's the nasty-ass scene where he's rubbing his snot all over the gas station.
Yes. Oh, gosh. But it's so good.
I watched that episode around the time the pandemic took over. And I was like, oh, God, no.
He's here.
And that dude I've seen in like a million shows, but I can never remember his fucking name.
He was in Dawn of the Dead.
He's been in so much shit.
He was the father in Dawn of the Dead. That's not...
It's not who you're thinking it is because he looks like another really famous actor.
That's not Max Headroom, is it?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
What's his name in the show is Pestilence. Here he is. Matt Frewer is his name. He's in 2 episodes. He is Max Headroom. Holy shit.
Told you.
Then who am I thinking of that is not Max Headroom that also looks like Max Headroom?
Fuck if I know.
Because there's somebody else I see a lot, and I'm like, that was Max Headroom. And I'm like, no, that wasn't Max Headroom. God, was he really Max Headroom? How old is that show?
Since like 1984?
Right. But it's not even what he's listed as he's known for. It says he was in the Watchmen movie.
Okay.
He was in Pixels as Max Headroom. He was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, he was the father of the other kids, the neighbor.
He was in Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay.
He played a voice on the Castlevania cartoon on Netflix.
Oh.
He was the Bishop.
Yes.
That's him.
Okay. Yeah.
He was in 12 Monkeys.
Okay.
I mean, this dude's been a lot of stuff. And he's in 2 episodes of Supernatural, because of course he is. Wow.
The guy that we're referring to as War is the guy who plays Bosch, I believe.
Who's Bosch?
It's a TV show on Amazon? Showtime? Can't remember. He's the main character.
Trying to find him in the credits, because he would be listed as War, right? Good Lord, there's too many people in this show. Yeah, I can't. There's too many, because if you look up War, you get Warden, Wards, Edwards, Schwartz. Too many people. Warding Reaper. That's not it. You can't IMDb people in the show because there's too many episodes and too many actors.
Yeah, you can forget it. But yeah, man. So, I mean, God, what else have we forgotten here?
I mean, there's a lot. There's the whole tablets.
Yeah, there's the Demon Tablet and the Angel Tablet, where Metatron takes over.
The Cult was another storyline.
The Cult is a great storyline, and I wish they utilized it more.
And then fucking, what's her name? Was it a Knight of Hell that just melts it?
God, what is her name?
She basically coddles the Antichrist's mother for a few episodes while Lucifer is captured by Crowley.
She's the Knight of Hell. And
I don't remember her name. Because the only Knight of Hell I remember the name is Abaddon, because she's in a ton of episodes.
That's right. I can't
remember. And they even did the Cthulhu shit at one point.
Yes. They that was the Men in Letters stuff, right?
Twice, actually, because they did it. Both of them were Men in Letters stuff, because the first time they did it was when they found that hatch with they needed the purple diamond to open the tear to the apocalypse world. And they go down there, and the girl had been possessed by the big, like, tentacle purple demon or whatever.
That's right, yeah.
And then the other one was the girl that had the sword, the lady that had the sword. She was from H.P. Lovecraft's party.
That's right.
She came through the portal when they opened it.
Dude, they even have Excalibur in this show.
That wasn't Excalibur.
Well, it was alluded to be Excalibur.
No, he even asked her. He said, "Is this Excalibur?" She said, "Oh, no. She actually confirmed it's not.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Well,
and then he breaks it.
He does break it, yeah. But that's just Dean being Dean.
But the thing is he needed the sword to kill a fucking dragon.
There's dragons in this.
Which don't look like dragons. They look like dudes with long fingernails and fire breath.
Yes.
This fucking show, man. Eve was another short-lived storyline.
Yes.
The mother of all monsters.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they created the little thing that goes in the ear that possesses people.
That's what killed Rufus.
Yeah, poor Rufus.
Poor Rufus.
Rufus is a great character, too.
He was a great character.
He was a piece of shit, but he was a great character.
Yep.
I mean, how do you not get past the show without talking about the overarching fact that Sam and Dean... how many times did they die?
Sam dies twice? No.
Dean dies 3 times.
Dean dies twice. Sam dies once, technically.
Now, are you referring to the last episode? Because that's...
Okay, no, I'm not referring to the last episode.
That's 3 times.
So, well, Sam dies twice in the show. Dean
and
dies...
then of old age in the last episode.
Yeah. No. That's twice.
Oh,
The only time Sam has died was...
Do you count him going into the pit, into the cage?
No, I do not, because he was still alive.
But he had to be dragged out of hell.
He was dragged out of hell, but he was still alive because he was still being
if they threw you in
possessed.
hell, you'd be dead.
He was still being possessed, which means he was still alive. And their poor half brother, man.
That motherfucker just died all the time.
I'm so glad they brought him back, and they at least gave him a send off, because I was like, that kid has been in hell for 10 years.
And the only thing you ever hear is them asking, "How is my brother still there?" Yeah, he's still there.
No. They don't even ask about the brother. The next time he is actually referenced is in the school musical episode, and Sam's like, "Hey, who's that on stage?" I was like, "Oh, that's the other brother, the one that's still in hell." And they both look at each other like, "Oh shit, we forgot our brother's still in hell."
Forgot our brother's in hell. Shit. And in he's in the last season. He's in next to the last episode.
Yeah, he's in a few episodes. They actually bring him back.
Yeah, which he's a dick and he betrays him, but whatever.
It's true.
Fucking Michael. Michael's always a dick.
Yeah. Michael has forever been a dick.
In both worlds, he was a dick.
In both worlds. 2 parallel universes.
Yeah, and both times, Michael's a dick.
But yeah, they have done damn near everything in the show, man.
Yeah.
It's jam-packed.
There's nothing left to do.
They killed Santa Claus, right? Didn't they kill Santa Claus?
They killed his brother.
Yeah. It was Krampus, right? They killed Krampus. Okay, they killed Krampus. Yeah.
Oh my god.
They killed Balder.
Yeah, of Norse mythology.
The Norse god Balder.
But Odin gets killed in the hotel.
That's true. Dude, all the gods get killed. That was kind of like the big roundup there.
The head gods all got killed in there, but they didn't kill the judge.
The judge.
When Dean was on trial because he killed the girl.
That's right.
They didn't kill him. Was that Osiris, I think?
Yeah, Osiris.
They didn't kill him. Did they? Or did they kill him?
I can't remember.
Fuck, I remember the trial because they brought back Joe. And... Oh, I thought they brought somebody else back. Fuck, I don't remember. So much shit in that show.
Yeah.
Thin Man is basically Slender Man.
Yep.
What other shit?
Which wasn't even real.
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
That was in there.
They did Hansel and Gretel. They did all the kinds of fairy tale stuff.
Big Bad Wolf. Yeah.
They even had the cartoon episode. They've had multiple. All right. Woohoo! They had multiple cartoon episodes.
Yeah, the one in the guy's mind that was turning everything into like Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes. Yeah.
And then legitimately an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Yes. They had a crossover episode with Scooby-Doo where Sam and Dean and Castiel get sucked into a TV and they're in an episode of Scooby-Doo.
That's a great episode. Oh, wow. Scooby-Doo.
And then
Dean becomes a demon. That's one of the times he died.
Yes.
He died and became a demon.
So Dean has died multiple times. So Dean died... The first time he died was when he was dragged to hell by the Hellhound and killed.
He was almost dead in the hospital after the car crash with his
Yes,
dad.
he was going to die. He was out of his body talking to a Reaper.
Yeah.
And then...
what was her name? She comes back a lot.
She does come back. I can't remember. But their dad sacrifices himself and saves Dean.
They make a reference to The Walking Dead.
Yes, they do.
With his dad's bat, because his dad, if you don't know, his dad is in The Walking Dead. He plays Negan.
Yep.
And they have a bat with barbed wire on it in one of the episodes, and Dean says, "Dad always loved this bat."
Yep. And he shows back up.
Yeah, they go back in time and grab him.
No.
It was the pearl. They made the wish, right?
It was, yeah, they made a wish, and he showed up for a day.
Yeah, because they had to send him back, otherwise things were going to... Because basically when they brought him back, it fucked up the timeline, and now they were like criminals. Or Dean was a criminal, and Sam was like a TED Talk kind of dude.
Yeah. They've time traveled multiple times. One thing that always gets me, and when I do a rewatch, I'm like, oh man, everybody forgets like the consequences of this. Sam is over almost 2 years older than what he is, what everybody thinks he is, because of the episode where the trickster makes him go through the same day over and over and over again with Dean dying.
Yeah, but that was just a trick, right?
No, it was a trick, but remember, Sam, he lives an entire year without Dean.
Yeah, because they do the little montage of him hunting the trickster.
Yes. And then he's like, okay, I'll fix this. And he goes to bed and wakes up the next day, and Dean's alive.
But was it all just like a memory?
It may have all just been a memory, but according to Sam, he lived an entire year.
Yeah, well, he thinks he did. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like maybe the trickster just made him think he lived for a year.
But that's a hell of a scar, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if that's not even the worst scar he had.
No.
Think about the fact that his soul was tortured in hell for like a year.
For almost a year.
Yeah. Then they put it back in his body, and they got to put up a fucking wall around it so he doesn't have fucking PTSD.
And then Dean spends a whole year in hell torturing people.
Yeah, with Alistair.
And we should mention 1 year in hell is about 30 years. Or 1 year in hell in the real world is like 30 years in hell.
Yeah.
So it's basically...
Because he held out for 35 years, or however long, and then...
It's like 32 years or something like that.
Yeah, and then he gave up and gave in.
Yep.
Man.
God, this show is insane.
Yeah. It is. And every time you watch it and you rewatch the earlier episodes, you're like, fuck, that's still happening in season 15.
Yep.
Meg comes back, but it's not Meg. She's the Empty.
Yeah. She's now the queen of the Empty.
Which is another weird thing. That's where angels go when they die.
It's also where demons go when they die.
I thought demons went to purgatory.
No. They go to the Empty.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing I saw in the Empty were angels. Because Lucifer went there.
Castiel went there.
But like they never mentioned, like maybe if they'd have shown Crowley there, I'd have believed the demons went there too, but...
Oh, how did Meg get there?
Well, it's not Meg. If you remember the conversation, she says, I just took this form because you would recognize it.
Ah, that's true.
Because the Empty can be anything.
That's right.
Which I say that like it's just known fact, but the Empty is in a total of, 2 episodes?
No, it was in the second to last season. It was in season 14 a little bit.
Because I remember when it went after Jack, when he was in heaven.
Yep. And then Castiel went there in season 14.
Because Jack brings him back.
Yes.
And then it kills Castiel next to the last episode.
Yes.
Which is awesome because the hand on the shoulder thing still gets me.
There are tons of references there.
Yeah. It's the first time Castiel pulls Dean out of hell, he leaves a hand mark on his arm.
Yeah. It's a scar.
And when he dies, he puts his hand on Dean to tell him he loves him, and when he steps away, the hand mark is there where it was.
Yep.
The final scene in season 15, episode 1, is an exact replica of the final scene in season 1, episode 1.
Yep. They even flash them as younger guys
But you
for a
don't
split
realize how
second there.
different they look.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking crazy, man. It's I sit around and I think about it, and it's the show. I have like anxiety disorder. I get anxious about a lot of things, and I read a thing online the other day that says that people with severe anxiety, the reason they rewatch TV shows that they know how they end is because it helps them relax, because they know the outcome of what's going to happen.
Sure.
And I've come to the realization that Supernatural is like my best anxiety drug. Like I watch one or two, when I'm rewatching it, I watch 1 or 2 episodes a night. And I just sit there and I'm like, God, the show is, it just never, it never gets old to watch. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
And I'll remember episodes that I'd forgotten. I'll remember storylines that I've forgotten. I'll pick up little things that I had missed the first 2 or 3 times I watched it.
Yep.
And I also don't have to pay 100% attention to it because I know everything that's going to happen anyway.
There you go.
But yeah, it's good shit. I'm going to go back over here. I had the wiki open in case I forgot anything.
The Yellow Fever episode is great.
Yellow Fever episode.
That's whenever Dean is scared of everything.
There's a scene in that episode that makes me laugh out loud every time it happens. It's when the cat jumps out of the locker.
Yeah, the cat.
And Dean screams. To this day, every time I watch that episode, I laugh.
That's good.
Because the look on his face and the noise that he makes in that scene.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They made an anime series. I've never seen it.
I have.
Where can you even watch it?
Maybe Funimation has it.
I don't know. I haven't seen it anywhere. I should probably watch it.
It's pretty good. I can't remember when it takes place. It takes place, so they do carbon copies of a few episodes of the show, but it actually takes place in between seasons. I can't remember which seasons it is, and it shows like what they were doing in between those.
Gotcha. Okay, so to go back to what you're talking about, there are spinoffs. There's 5 actually.
Oh man.
There's Ghost Facers.
Yes.
Supernatural the anime series.
Yeah.
Supernatural Bloodlines.
That was the one with the monsters.
Samuel Colt.
Don't know that one.
And the Wayward Sisters.
Now, I remember the Wayward Sisters, and that was actually, I think that one got the closest to getting off the ground, but it didn't ever happen.
Samuel Colt. I'm looking to see what this is. During production of Supernatural's 3rd season, Kripke stated that the writers sometimes discussed the possibility of a prequel series set in the Old West. The spinoff would follow Samuel Colt and a group of hunters.
Interesting.
And then the Wayward Sisters on June 20th, 2017, it was announced the Wayward Sisters, a spin-off series starring Kim Rhodes as Sheriff Jody Mills, was being developed. Series was not picked up.
Yep.
Also, you should also mention that like all of the writers, their names get into the show.
Yes.
So Robert Singer has been on the show since the beginning. Bobby Singer.
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite lines. Is they're pretending to be actors, which is fantastic. So it's the episode where they go back in, or not go back in time, but they go to a parallel universe where they are the actors, Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, on a show called Supernatural. They're talking to one of the executive producers, and his name is Robert Singer. He's like, wait, you wrote yourself into the friggin' show?
There's also Jeremy Carver and Ben Edlund.
That's right.
So Carver Edlund was built from that. Yeah, the Robert Singer one still cracks me up.
Yeah, that's really good. I like they're looking themselves up, and he's like, my name's Jared Padalecki, I'm Polish? What?
Looks like Jensen Ackles was on a soap opera.
Yeah.
They show the footage.
They show the footage of him on Days of Our Lives, and it's really footage from Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
It's
cheesy as fuck.
It is. And Dean is like, I don't like this universe, Sam. We need to leave.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. And it's all on Netflix, like you said. And you should go watch all 15 seasons.
The entirety of it is on Netflix now.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the finale, the final 10 episodes up on, probably about a week.
It was a week after, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think it's finally time. We're an hour and 5 minutes into this. I think it's finally time we talk about the ending. Which I said on Twitter, and I told you this is probably the best way they could have ended the show without pissing everybody off.
Yeah, and it's still going to piss some people off. What you talked about earlier where, they wrap up the God storyline. They wrap it up in the next to last episode, which threw me off entirely when I was watching it, because I was like, so what's the last? And then the last episode starts with a normal case. Like the show was starting over.
Yes.
And that is weird, because I'm like, well, how is this going to pan out? And then, sure enough, just like he always said for 15 seasons, Dean's going to die on a case.
Yeah, he even said, he's like, look, you're going to go off, you're going to get married. Dean's saying this to Sam. You're going to go off, you're going to get married, you're going to live the good normal life. He said, me, I'm going to go out like a hunter. I'm probably going to get killed in some kind of vampire's nest, and that'll be the end of it. And that's the way I want to go. That's what he's always said. I'm talking from season 1. He's always said that.
And that's exactly what happened. He gets killed by a vampire that was introduced in season 5.
Yes. He was killed by a vampire that their father tried to hunt. And when I first saw this, I was sitting there with my wife, and I was like, I'm not buying this. And then I was like, oh, no.
The conversation between Sam and Dean when he's on the pipe.
When they started having that conversation, I was like, oh, this is for real. This is there is no Jack coming to save everybody, or, Castiel coming or something like that.
Yeah, Castiel was dead, which we didn't mention. Well, we did mention he died, but we didn't mention that Jack basically became God.
Yes. Jack became God. He absorbed God's power without God knowing.
Yep. And he just kind of made everything go back to normal, and then he just kind of walked away, and they said, I'd probably never see you again, but I'll always be here because I'm everywhere.
Yep.
But he wasn't there, and Dean dies, and...
Yep, he tells Sam, he's like, it's okay, I need you to tell me it's okay, and that I can go. And Sam tells him it's okay, and you can go, and Dean dies. Sam has the hunter's funeral, which is burn him. And it shows Sam going pretty much throughout the first few weeks without Sam there.
Then he gets in the car.
Yep.
The song plays.
Yep.
As it do.
And then it shows. Then it shows from the viewpoint of Dean. He's being burned at his funeral, and it shows Dean up in heaven. And one thing we haven't mentioned, which if anybody's listening this far, probably has watched some of Supernatural. Heaven has always been set up in a way where everybody has their own personal heaven. Mm-hmm. You're basically in this little room, and you get to live out your favorite memories of your life. And it's revealed through Bobby Singer of all things. He's up there in heaven.
Sitting on a porch in a rocking chair drinking a beer, because that's what Bobby Singer would do.
That's what Bobby Singer does. And Dean's like, what memory is this? I don't remember this. And Bobby says, it ain't one, you idiot.
Because it's an idiot, man.
And so Jack, now being the new appointed God, has changed heaven. And it is now a giant world that everyone can live in. and be with.
Yep.
And Bobby's like, yeah, I live here. Your mom and dad live a couple miles down the road. Rufus lives right next to me. Still annoys the shit out of me. And he's like, yeah, he said, we're all here. And he said, don't worry, Sam will be here soon enough. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, no, you don't get it. He said, time up here in heaven is different. And he's like, a few minutes will pass in heaven, and it's been years. So Dean turns and looks, and there's the Impala. There's Baby sitting there. He's like, I'm going to go for a little ride. Cranks up the car, and Carry On Wayward Son comes over the radio, and he goes for a little drive. Now we cut back to Earth. Sam, it shows him going throughout the years.
With the poorest aging makeup you will ever see.
Yes. So it shows Sam grow old. He has a family. He has a son, which it's alluded that his son kind of carries in his father's footsteps. He's a hunter kind of thing. Shows Sam at an old age in really bad old age makeup.
The gray, long hair.
The long hair. So Sam has always kind of had long, shaggy hair. For some odd reason, they just said, let's just give him like a shaggy hair, but it's white. And I'm just like, couldn't they just say he got a haircut? You know,
yeah, like he got old and he had to cut his hair because he was balding.
Yeah. But it shows Sam in his hospice bed, dying of old age. His son stands over him and tells him it's okay. You can go now. And Dean goes for probably a 10-minute drive, pulls up on a bridge, and gets out of the car and enjoys the view, and then realizes somebody's standing behind him, and it's Sam. And they hug each other and stare off the bridge and looking into the rest of heaven, and that's the ending of the show.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what I expected to see when I watched the last. I knew it had to end.
Yeah. I figured, which we kind of called it. We called it, last year whenever they were doing season 15. We were just like, either one of them or both of them die.
Yeah, there has to be death.
Yeah.
It has to be permanent death.
Yes. Because they've died before, and one or the other goes and finds a way to bring the other one back.
Which is, if there were going to be another season, then Sam clearly would have went and got Dean back. But he did burn him.
He did.
Because if you remember the first time he died, Sam didn't burn him.
No.
He buried him.
That's one way to get rid of a ghost. You salt and burn the ashes, or the ashes, the bones.
The bones. You gotta burn the bones and hope they're not. Because if they're tied, then the ghost can come back.
Yep.
But see, Dean's body was not burned, so Castiel lifted him from hell and brought him back. This time, Sam burned him, so
he was gone forever.
Yep.
So yeah, they both died eventually, and they both reside in heaven.
Yeah,
I mean that's the best way to end it. I mean, it really is.
There's nothing else you're going to do at that point.
Yeah. I mean, they could have ended it with the second to last episode, because it does feel a little bit like an ending. You know?
Yeah, because they solved the biggest problem that the universe would ever have.
Yeah, and then it shows him he's like, yeah, now what we do? We just keep going, man. And it shows him driving off in the car. They could have easily just ended it right there and be like, they continue.
They went on hunting
for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, just doing the hunting thing.
Yeah. But I feel like both would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, it could have ended on the next to the last episode, or they could have done it the way that they did it, because I feel like they were just trying to give people who had been watching it for 15 fucking years some kind of closure, and not just a ride off into the sunset kind of moment.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way.
Yeah, but the lack of Crowley is like you said, just
it's blatant. It's
criminal, man, and I know that shit happens behind the scenes, and it sucks, but
You're missing the best character in that entire show.
Yeah, when just about everybody came back.
Yeah. Lucifer even showed up for a split second there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody makes a little cameo, but the best character to ever be in the show.
Yep. Damn.
Wow.
It is what it is, I guess.
Go watch it.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of is just like, if you're still listening, you haven't watched this. I'm sorry we spoiled it for you, but there's a ton we didn't talk about.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and the journey is way better than the destination.
I mean, we didn't even talk about the fact that it's got some of the best soundtrack of a television show ever.
Yes. So that's another thing. So originally the show was supposed to be polarizing. So you had Sam as like the good goody two shoes, and Dean was supposed to be the bad boy. And Dean was supposed to be a metalhead who listened to heavy metal and had tattoos all over his body. But they wrote it out of the show because they said it would be too expensive to have him put fake tattoos all over him. But if you remember the first few episodes of the first season, Dean is a metalhead.
Absolutely.
He listens to hardcore metal, and then it quickly turns into, he's more of a classic rock guy.
Yeah, he's got cassette tapes in the first season.
Yeah. It's all his dad's collection.
Which on Netflix sucks because the first season is censored.
It's all censored.
Yeah, it doesn't have the licensed music, but for some reason seasons 2 through 15 contain all of the licensed music.
And the reason why they say Carry On Wayward Son is because it is a tradition with Supernatural that they do a season recap. The road so far on the last episode of the season, and they recap everything, and they do it to the song Carry On Wayward Son.
And the beginning of every season has a different song.
Yeah. Usually AC/DC?
Metallica was once.
Ted Nugent?
AC/DC was actually for... One of the AC/DCs is when they rebuilt Baby.
Yes.
They played Back in Black when he's driving it around.
Yep. They did Thunderstruck, I believe, was one of them.
Yep, Thunderstruck was definitely one of them.
Stranglehold was one of them by Ted Nugent.
Yep. I don't remember. The Metallica song was it Wherever I May Roam?
I think so.
Yeah, they did that one towards one of the later seasons.
And then one of my favorite uses of the music was actually the last episode of the second to last season, which was Judas Priest's God was never on your side.
Yeah, that is a great scene in the cemetery.
Yep.
That is a great scene.
But, yeah. So
show's too damn good. You can go watch it.
It is. It is. I'm glad we had this conversation because it needed to be said.
Yeah, now we can stop bothering people on the other podcasts about it.
Yes. Because they would be tearing their hair out right now if they were listening.
Oh
to
yeah,
this.
they can't. None of them will watch it, and they're all bad people.
Yep. But yeah, that's gosh, I can't suggest this show enough. It is my favorite show.
Yeah, like I said, I rewatch it at least once a year, and I just enjoy watching it. And I'm looking forward because I've only seen season 15 once. So I'm looking forward to watching it again in this run. I think I'm on season 9. I took a break because I wanted to do season 15 because I didn't want it to be sitting out there. But I think I'm nearing the end of season 9 right now. I literally, like I said, I just watched the Ghostfacers episode with the Thin Man.
Yeah. Where they accidentally kill a real person.
Yeah, and they pretty much ends the Ghostfacers.
Yeah. Because one of them was like, dude, we just killed a real person.
Like, that's not a ghost or a monster. That's a fucking person.
Yeah. Gosh, those poor guys.
Yeah.
That one episode where it was all done through the Ghostfacers cameras.
It was literally an episode of Ghostfacers, and then at the end, it's Sam and Dean watching the footage that they captured, yeah.
And then they show the credits. That's so those small subtle things. So like they always show the opening credits kind of thing, like the first probably minute of the show, and you never get that. You just start the episode with Ghostfacers. You finish the episode, and it shows them watching the tape. Sam and Dean watching the tape, and then it's showing the credits at the bottom of the screen.
Did another episode of that where they were doing like the hand cam, the werewolf episode.
Yes, the werewolf episode.
Yeah, the college kids that like discovered they were a werewolf, and
that's another one of my favorite Dean moments. Is when Dean is just kind of he watches all that footage, and he feels bad for him, and Sam's like, "So we need to go after him," and Dean's just staring off in the distance, going, So we're gonna go. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Oh, man.
Good shit.
It is. I love that show as much as Dean Winchester loves pie.
Yeah. He does love some pie.
He does. They give a nice little send-off to that in the last episode as well.
Yep.
It goes to a pie-eating contest.
And he gets a pie shoved in his face by Sam.
Yes, he does. Oh yeah, we'll end it there because that's.
I mean, we've talked long enough. We got it out of the system. It's over. But you should go watch the show.
Yes, you should go watch the show, and when you finish that, if you want more of Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, well, you can see Jared Padalecki as Walker, Texas Ranger, coming soon.
And Jensen Ackles is going to be Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy in season 3 of The Boys.
I just watched the first episode of season 2 of that.
What do you think?
I need to get on it. I'm starting to feel like it's a lot of shock for the sake of shock. It can
be.
Yeah.
This one, I feel like season 2 has a pretty decent storyline. There's a new hero that shows up, and that is I like the twist in that one.
Oh, I think it was in the first episode. The girl.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to spoil that show. That show's too new. But yeah, they went straight to the breast milk in the first episode, and I'm just like, man, this shit's just dumb.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stick with it because it's Kripke, which if you don't know, that ties right in. Kripke did Supernatural.
Yes, he did. So
I'll keep on it.
There you go. But that's going to be it for us. I appreciate everybody listening. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, I am at Drew Leachman, and Ken is at ZTGD. The podcast, Phoenix Down. We will be back next week with the beginning of episode 100, which is the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Real excited for that one. I can't wait to hear Matt's thoughts on that because
I just want to hear him yell, "Fuck the water temple."
Well, we're not there yet. I'm just now going to the Goron.
Oh, you're way early, son.
Yeah, we're still early. So if anybody is listening to this and they want to, if they're playing along with us, we're going to do our best to get the first 3 dungeons out of the way. So that way, because I don't feel like it takes that long. Like I'm already going into the second dungeon. I'm maybe 3 hours into this game, tops.
I mean, those dungeons get longer as the game goes on, for sure.
They definitely do, and I think the Zora dungeon is probably longer.
Jabu Jabu's stomach.
Yep, Jabu Jabu's belly. But we'll see. But that's going to be the next thing coming up for us. But yeah, I appreciate everybody listening. You guys have a great New Year's, and until next time, I'm Drew.
I'm Ken.
And we're out of here. You guys have a great, great week.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And we're going to be back next week with Game 100, which is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.